Welcome to the Sound of Movement podcast. Today we are talking about assessments and how to assess your body for imbalances. In our unique UMS system, we assess for flexibility, symmetry, and strength imbalances. And today we're going to tell you how.
What's up, tribe? Good morning. It's great to be back on the podcast today. Now, before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to everyone tuning in on the replays on YouTube, or those of you listening on the Sound of Movement podcast. Please smash the like button if you're on YouTube, and leave a comment if you like the topic, if you are interested in the topic, if you learn something. That helps us a lot, helps the channel. And if you're on the Sound of Movement podcast, give us a 5-star review. That's going to help us big time. We recently passed 200 episodes and we're pretty stoked with that. We are getting lots of great feedback. Very special shout out and warm welcome to those joining us live in the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group. If you haven't already, jump over and join the group. When you apply, you will need to click the I agree to abide by the code of conduct, or you will not get access. How are we all doing this morning?
Pretty good.
We got Rad here. If it's your first show, my name is Yani Burmeister. Across the table from me is my brother Rad. Behind the mics, the voice of God, Richard Lellies. We are Unity Gym and the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into athletes. Now, before we get started on the show, we have a little bit of an apology to make. It's quite embarrassing. Last week, over the weekend, we did a flash sale for our rehab programs. Massive shout out to everyone who grabbed them. A lot of people jumped on that offer and grabbed all 5 of the programs for forearm, elbow, shoulder, hip and lower back, knee and anterior pelvic tilt. Now, we had one question come in the post that we shared in the UMS Movement Mastermind group that we just totally missed, from Kira Thiel, asking about some advice on what program they should get for an issue they're having in their lower back. And I am so sorry, Kira, that we missed this question. My answer to you is I would grab the hip and back rehab program. What you're describing there, your body, your lower back muscles are going to be locking up and going into spasm because they're not coping with load. It's excessive load. You're going beyond the load capacity of those muscles for whatever reason. It can be lifestyle factors, it can be exercise, it can be all sorts of different stimulus. The best way to overcome that issue is to increase the load capacity of the muscles in your lower back, and of course work on posture as well. I would recommend the back rehab or program, the hip and back rehab program, and Rad agrees with me. Look, we're happy to increase the offer to you. If you still want to pick that program up, we'll give it to you at the sale price because the flash sale has expired yesterday. Very sorry. All right, on with the show.
On with the show.
P.S. Hit us up with a private message or just comment in this post and we'll get in touch with you so we can key that up, Kira. Yeah, all right, on with the show. So today's assessment week, and this is cool because we're actually doing assessment week. The reason why we wanted to roll this out this week is because we're doing assessment week this week, and we're also doing something very special on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't normally do this. For those of you that are part of the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group, you would know that we don't normally do this. And if anybody's listening to this or watching on YouTube and you're not part of that group, jump on over. We provide free online coaching and we record these podcasts live, so you can ask questions. So just go to Facebook, search for UMS Movement Mastermind. But this weekend, what we are doing for the Black Friday weekend for a sale, we are going to be doing our UMS online coaching program at half price, $49 a month as a lifetime membership fee if you don't cancel. And this is the only time you're going to get that all year. We have made it we've decided that we are only ever going to reduce that, which is our flagship program. This is the be all and end all of what we do here. It's the balance between strength and flexibility that's going to get you to amazing heights with your training. So yeah, we're telling you guys about that because we recently made some changes to the program, to the pricing and also to what's included. And some of the people that were sitting on the fence about to get it were a little bit unhappy that they missed their last opportunity. So we're telling you in advance, this is your last opportunity to do this for a year.
Well, yeah, that's right, for a year. I'm going to be 100% transparent here because I didn't hear Rad say this yesterday. We are going to repeat this offer for Black Friday, Cyber Monday each year, but we are literally doing it once a year. We're going to make it our special thing that we offer over that Black Friday, Cyber Monday, frenzy weekend, and that's it. Otherwise, all year you'll be signing up for the full price. And let me just quickly unpack what it is that you get. You get the group coaching calls streamed live weekly, where we analyze all of your exercise videos. We take the time to go through every single one of them.
How are they different to these calls, Yanni?
Well, because we literally coach your movements. You upload videos, you take video of each of the movements that you want feedback on, and we walk through step by step coaching you and giving you improvements.
Which is very different to these shows here.
That's what the online coaching is built around. But then on one side of it, you have an exercise tutorial library, which basically eliminates the guesswork and helps you correct form ongoing. You can access any movement in the program, watch a personal training session on that movement. Then you get the Foundations program, which is about building your foundation in strength, flexibility, and balance in your body. We're going to talk a little bit about that stuff today and tomorrow. Now we're releasing the Technique Optimizer, which Rad and Richard are starting to film or completing all the shooting for the exercise tutorials this week. And then on the other side, for the more advanced side of things, you get the Strength and Flexibility Essentials theory courses, which is just about leveling up your knowledge of S&C, strength and conditioning theory, for those who want to dive deeper into it and really learn how to fish. You get the Progressions program, which is the structural balance blueprint, the assessment protocols that we use. It's the advanced program builder to help you design your own programs, and it customizes the program to your needs so you can execute on the highest level. It's about teaching you how to fish at this point. And then on top of that, you get the Strength Maximizer, which we're releasing in January, which is about destroying plateaus. It's something that we prescribe. Everyone does once or twice a year. It's a prescribed overreaching program only for advanced level people, but it just dramatically increases your strength potential in a very short amount of time. And it's really, really, honestly, guys, it's a pretty epic. System and program. And if you are doubting, if you want to know a little bit about what it's like, although you're not going to get to do what Grace Clements did, Grace is a listener of the podcast, a long-time listener of the podcast, and she's an active member of this group. And she recently, last year, she won, or maybe at the start of the year, she won a competition and got to come and trial our 28-day intensive program, which, as it sounds, is a 28-day intense protocol where you get to experience what we do here at Unity Gym. Scroll down in this group and read what she said about it. Now, we did not ask her to do that. I was gobsmacked yesterday when I read that, and I was having a pretty tough day, and it really helped pick me up. Thank you very much, Grace, for posting your feedback. That was really beautiful, quite frankly, and really special. And it was an absolute pleasure having you here in the gym. It's always great to get people who have been following us online for a long time and doing our online stuff to actually come and work with us in the gym. It's very, very fun. Anyway, moving on. This week is testing week in the gym and in the online coaching group. We align and we do it all together so that everyone's sort of at the same step, the same stage, and we can coach everybody together. We're all moving in the same direction. We get that herd mentality. How's it been so far, Rad? And Richard.
Oh, look who's on the show. Cedric. How are you, brother? Great to Cedric's one of our ex-members. He's moved back to France, his home country, and sorely missed. Cedric had he was really our testing grounds for our nutrition program, for the intermittent fasting program that Yani put together, which is a phenomenal program. And Cedric lost about 18 kilos of fat in about 4 months and kept it off, as far as to my knowledge, for years. The last time I saw him, it was still off, and missing you too, Cedric.
Yeah, miss you too, brother.
It's great to...
I miss that little French touch every day, you know.
I thought that was going somewhere that wasn't G-rated. No, so good.
No,
so
seriously, miss you too, brother.
And if anybody wants to know where on the podcast where we're getting this from, this is we're interacting with people on the live stream from the UMS Movement Mastermind. So again, come and join that group on Facebook. And Dave Clark, welcome to the show, brother. Yes, it is a very tempting offer, and it's actually going to come with a 2-week free trial. So for those of you that want to start but aren't sure, you'll get a 2-week trial. So it's a no-brainer. It's just get into it. So yeah, look, testing week. It's what we do at Unity Gym and in the UMS online coaching every 6 weeks, and it is one of the most valuable experiences you'll have. I would say you would have to pay a personal trainer a minimum of $150 an hour to be able to learn this stuff. And in all honesty, I reckon, this is a completely fabricated number, but Yani and I have been personal trainers for 17 years. We were at a big chain gym for 10 years. I reckon it would probably be less than 1 out of 1,000 personal trainers that would even know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's high level
and those
stuff.
people have spent tens of thousands of dollars on their education.
Yeah.
I certainly did. And
then it took us over a decade to work out how to implement that knowledge into a format that we can use for people online or in the gym.
Yep.
It took us a long time to get our heads around how we can make this work and systemize it and turn it into, because you've got to understand, for everybody that listens, like all the knowledge or all the processes in the world are great, but they're only effective if they're systemized and you can expect the same result time and time again when you do it. Otherwise it becomes something that's really stifling and confusing and overwhelming. And so we've effectively done that. We've systemized this process. So what happens is everyone in our gym every 6 weeks for 5 days, we test 15 different strength training movements.
Foundational movements.
Yeah, and things like the back squat, the flat bench press, the incline bench press, the seated shoulder press, the behind the head shoulder press, the pull up, the bent over row, the split squat, the dead, a whole bunch of different movements, and also 10 different flexibility movements. And you do it from Monday to Friday. We also do it at exactly the same time with our online coaching members, so that everyone around the world is doing this together. And that in itself is very, very powerful, because everybody's doing it together. So people are asking the same questions at the same time, and there's a sense of community, there's a sense of belonging where we are all going through this experience together.
Well, it's the mastermind principle.
Yep.
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. It's one of the key factors for success, and it creates this mastermind of a collective of people who are all learning similar things. They're on the same path. They're wanting to excel in the same areas of their life. And so you've got this collective knowledge. It's not just Rad, myself, Richard, and Phil, who's usually here on the show. Big shout out to Phil if he's watching over in Western Australia. But it's a collective of people around the world. It's literally hundreds and hundreds of people around the world who are all doing this together. And then when we are giving feedback and we're giving coaching, you get to benefit. You may not even have to ask the question, but you'll learn from the answers. So it's very, very powerful, very, very powerful. Anyway, what did we do today? So what does it look like? Let's sort of just unpack a little bit about what. I don't have the cliff notes in front of me, so I'm trying to steer us on the topic.
Lucky for you, I know it off by heart. So
no, I'm talking about the show cliff notes, so I can keep us on topic.
Yeah. So look, we're basically talking about how to assess your body for imbalances, so flexibility, symmetry, and strength. So what we look for is
and before we go to what we look for, why don't we talk a little bit about why? Did you talk about that yesterday?
No.
You know? Okay, so very, very simply, first and foremost, and this is where Phil would jump in usually and explain from a physiotherapist standpoint why it's important to have structural balance in the joints, okay? Every joint has an action, a movement that it's designed to do, and different joints have a larger variety, like the shoulders in comparison to the hips, or the knee in comparison to the shoulder, things like that. Some joints can move in multi-plane, some joints move in single or plane or dimensions. But the movement is what we want to strengthen. But within that movement, you also have the capacity for the joint to glide around, to move around within the joint itself. So the bone-on-bone surfaces, other than just the straightforward movement. I apologize, on the podcast, we have some sort of an alarm going off in the building right now. It sounds like someone's breaking in next door. Yeah, it is outside. Yeah, it's next door.
Good times.
But we're just gonna push on through. When you are moving a joint, if the joint isn't stable, if there's not structural integrity, you get what's referred to as joint glide, which is literally as it sounds. It's the two bone surfaces gliding on one another. When that occurs, depending on the severity of the joint glide, you can start to aggravate other structures other than just the general wear and tear that you can think logically. Two bone surfaces grinding on one another, you're gonna potentially cause wear. The potential increases to cause wear and tear to the cartilage that's protecting the bones, the surfaces, all that sort of thing. But you've also got other structures around those joints that are there, the ligaments that are there stabilizing, the tendons, things like that can become damaged, that can become inflamed, and that can become aggravated, and that can become sore, and eventually even wear down and tear and things like that, like in the rotator cuff structures and things like that. So that's the first and most obvious reason why you want your joints structurally balanced. You want to minimize the chance of glide. You can't eliminate it 100%, but you can dramatically reduce it, and that makes the integrity far greater. The second thing that it does is that it essentially aligns the joint, especially within the shoulders. So it optimizes posture so that you've got optimal range of movement. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm sort of raising my arms up above my head. The most obvious example is in the shoulders. If you don't have anatomical structural balance from front to back, from in the pecs and the back muscles, the chest, the shoulders, the back muscles, then your shoulders can be rounded, and you can minimize the amount of shoulder flexion, the ability to bring your arm above your head, quite dramatically. And then, of course, that's going to interfere with your strength potential, your flexibility potential, and your athletic performance potential, So those are the two most obvious reasons why we want anatomical structural balance. But then on top of that, we want strength balance to optimize the agonist-antagonist movement, because that is going to unlock much better strength potential, right? And that's what we're sort of testing for. So
yeah, absolutely. And these are the kinds of things where, like, as soon as even just when you start to wrap your head around everything that Yani just said, that immediately takes your understanding of what a training session should look like to a new level. Because before you understand this stuff, this is when you're going into the gym and you're just looking around at what everybody else is doing to try and figure out what you should do. Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, those guys over there are doing that exercise, so I guess I should do it. But as soon as you even just understand at the most basic level what Yani's just said, it allows you to structure a workout very, very differently, because you start looking at how do I balance my joints just from pushing and pulling is the most simple one. And that happens in the body as well, even though we refer to pushing and pulling with the arms. That happens in the lower body as well. When you look at the knee joint and the hip joint, you still look at pushing and pulling movements.
Yeah.
So then when we go into the structural balance testing, what we do is we actually assess for the balance or the lack of balance or the imbalances in these joints. And through a really good structural balance testing process, like what we use at Unity Gym and in our online coaching, we can uncover where the imbalances are in the body. And then from there, it allows us to very, very easily create a customized program for the individual that's designed to overcome those imbalances.
Yep.
And wrap your head around that. That is absolutely huge, because in our UMS online coaching, we teach you how to do this for an extremely low monthly cost. You are not having to pay somebody to do this for you and then write a custom program for you, which costs a huge amount of money. Because if you pay for a professional's time, just the time it takes. If you're paying somebody for their hourly rate, this is hours of work.
Well, most of the programs that people buy around the world, or even go and do with a personal trainer, are just that person's programs. The programs that they've done on themselves and had some success with, based on either what their body needs, or worse, not just based on random, guesswork. And we have this saying: if you're not assessing, you're only guessing. This process eliminates 100% of the guesswork. There is zero guesswork anymore. It is exactly what your body needs to perform optimally. And that's what training's all about, right? It's about building the foundation of athletic performance so you can go and deploy that in whatever form of competition you want, whether that's a hobby, a passion, or legitimate sport, And so, it's, that in and of itself, this is so valuable. Done for you programs are great. Like our foundations program is a done for you program. Our technique optimizer is a done for you program. Our strength maximizer is a done for you program. But they are like, you do them, you move through them, and then you want to be testing and evaluating and building customized programs for what you need, specifically. They can set a foundation just like the foundations program does, which is what it's all about. And then you need to take it further. They can optimize or bust you through a strength plateau, but that's only a 2-week period. Then you need to take it further, customized to what your body needs, And all of our other programs, all of our master classes, all of that stuff, you guys are lucky that we have this in the back of our mind, in the forefront of our mind every time we write a program. Whether it's a handstand masterclass, we're thinking, how do we balance this? Push-pull. So we group the handstand with, is it the V-sit that we've done the handstand masterclass with? Everything we do, even with our muscle up masterclass, we don't just teach you pulling patterns, we're also teaching you push patterns so that we're constantly trying to keep it balanced. And so it's super important that you guys understand that, yes, we still deploy these principles in our standalone programs, but it's not customized to exactly what you need. Yep. There's a very big difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you just touched on there is something important to talk about as well, which is that before you can actually do this testing, there's a level of learning that needs to occur. And the technique, learning the correct technique to do this testing properly, learning the tempo, the right way to lift the weights, that is an element of it. And then there's another element of learning, which is to understand the ratios, to understand what these numbers all mean. And it's so confusing for somebody that's new, so for that reason, what we do is we actually, we have a process where we do what's called a technique optimizer program. Now that's something that we've been doing in the gym successfully for a while, which is where we get people to just work on the technique to get themselves to a point where they understand how to do the work. But it's something that we're now filming this week, so it's going to be going live for those people in the UMS online coaching program next week. It's very, very exciting, and it's an amazing process.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the first step to unlocking your athletic performance potential is balancing the body, and that's key, and that's what we do in the foundations program. The second step is optimizing technique, and that's where beyond muscular hypertrophy, there are 6 adaptations to strength, and they're all neural. They're all about reinforcing neural pathways, starting to really reinforce the coordination, the sequencing in muscle motor unit firing patterns, installing software in the brain's programming so that it understands how to produce these movements in the most efficient and effective way possible. All those things are occurring in the brain's connection to the muscle and the neural pathways. And we like to use the analogy of tying your shoe. You don't often have to you think about tying your shoe, and believe it or not, there are multiple ways you can tie a shoelace, but when's the last time you did it any differently? Probably a long time. The reason why tying your shoelace is something you don't have to waste precious calories on anymore thinking about is because you've done it the same way so many times that it's become autonomous. We want the foundational movements to become autonomous too, and that's why it's really important that we use something like the technique optimizer to just dial that in and start to get you thinking around the key cues for every movement and how to set them up, how to get them done so that over time they become so autonomous that it's like tying your shoe. You don't have to waste a calorie thinking about the movement technique. It happens so naturally that all of your energy is produced in the muscle now. It's deployed into the muscle to maximize your strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that's it for this topic. This is a really good opportunity for anybody that's been sitting on the fence, wanting to try our ultimate program, the UMS online coaching, for this weekend to get a free 2-week trial, and then potentially move into a lifetime set price that is half price. So don't miss out. And
Yeah, that's it. Rad's having a hectic coughing
I've got
attack
a hair
here.
in my throat, and it's just not going away today.
We might have to bring this in for a landing so Rad
so
can
sorry,
get a breath of air in. But we're going to continue. We're going to go deeper into the exact sort of mechanisms and systems that we use to test. Tomorrow, we're going to continue this discussion. And we will, until then, see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Thanks for joining us in the UMS Movement Mastermind. Take care, guys.
Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.